So we're going to take 2 days with 2 lessons on factoring trinomials. We're going to start out today with factoring a trinomial with a leading coefficient of 1. So x squared plus bx plus c. That's our standard form of our quadratic. So when we are factoring this, what you're going to do is find, to factor, we find two numbers that, multiply to be C, and so I'm going to write that you realize that it has to do both these things. It multiplies to be C and add to be B. Okay, so again, this is going to be purely focused around our times tables. So we're going to look at an example, and then we'll take a moment and talk about our signs. So here we have x squared plus 3x plus 2. So again, we said in the previous slide that we're going to multiply, find two numbers that multiply to be your C, which in this case is 2, and add to be B. So I need to find two numbers that multiply to give me 2 and add to give me 3. This one's actually a very easy one. There's only one factor of 2, which is 2 and 1. So 2 times 1 is 2, and 2 plus 1 gives me 3. So as we get into factoring trinomials that have larger numbers, one of the things that you may end up having to do if you're not comfortable with your times tables is writing out your factors. Some of your classmates are going to drive you crazy because they are able to get them right away. So now that I know 2 and 1 are my factors, I go and write it into a binomial. So I've got x in the front of each of these binomials. The reason being, x times x brings me to the x squared that's in the original trinomial. And now I write it with a positive 2 and a positive 1. Because in this example, we only have positives. We're going to talk about it in a moment, what I do when I have different signs. So again, it's pretty easy if we know our times tables. So let's take a look at the diagram that is from the notes that's posted on Canvas. You see on the side, I have C and B. So again, I'm referring to that standard form we just were working in. The x squared plus bx plus c. So the first term that you look at is c. If c is positive, you then go down the chart and look at your b value. If the c and the b are positive, both your factors are going to be positive. If your c is positive and your b is negative, both factors are negative. That makes sense. We're following our sign rules. Because if my c is positive, that means I can either have a positive times a positive to multiply to be a positive, or a negative times a negative to be a positive. Well, if c is negative, that means we're going to have one of each, a positive and a negative, in order to be multiplying to get a negative answer. And your rule, your shortcut, which helps you with figuring out your factors, is that b value in the middle. Since we're adding to get that, if the b is positive, then your bigger factor needs to be the positive number. If the b is negative or has a subtraction sign, that means the bigger factor has to be the negative value. So let's take a look at a problem that we have negative signs. So I'm going to do x squared minus x minus 6. So right away, you should notice that you're multiplying to get a negative c, which means I automatically know I'm going to have one of each sign. I'm going to have a positive, I'm going to have a negative. All right, so when we think about 6, we know 3 times 2 gives me 6. All right, so I can do -3 and +2. I can do +3, -2. I also know 6 and 1 are factors, so I could do -6 and +1, and +6 and -1. So what we just said on that previous slide was if they're adding to be a negative, then the larger number should have the negative sign on it. So what that means is right away, okay, I should notice that this is not going to be a choice and this is not going to be a choice. If you don't remember those rules, you can go ahead and just add them all up and see which one works. So we go ahead and we add. So -3 plus 2 gives me -1, which obviously I can tell right now is the answer, but I'm going to keep going so we can look at it. 3 plus -2 is +1. -6 plus 1 is -5. And 6 plus -1 is +5. So, again, we are looking for a number that multiplies to be -6 and adds to be -1, which is right there, that -3 and +2. So there's my final answer. Okay? So, x squared plus 6x plus 8. So again, what two numbers multiply to be 8? All right. So sometimes I'll do it as a T-chart. All right. So multiply to be 8, add to be 6. All right. So again, if you're not comfortable with your times tables, you think about your factors of 8. You've got 1 and 8. You've got 2 and 4. In this, I don't need to worry about negatives because I'm multiplying to get a positive, I'm adding to get a positive. There's no way I'm going to have any negatives in this answer. So now we add it up. 1 plus 8 is 9. 2 plus 4 is 6. That right there tells me that's my answer. So we go ahead and we write it. We've got x plus 2 and x plus 4. It doesn't matter if you put the 4 first or the 2 first. Remember, it's multiplication, so it's interchangeable. There are problems where you're going to dislike me. So we got x squared plus x plus 6. So in this one, we're looking for numbers that multiply to be 6 and add to be 1. All right, so again, all right, we've got 3 and 2, 1 and 6, and we know we're only dealing with positives because we have no negatives. So 3 plus 2 is 5, 1 plus 6 is 7. Well, if you're thinking, all right, let me go try to make up some numbers that factor to be 6 and add to be 1, there isn't any. Okay, so this is actually not factor. All right, these are rare. We're not going to have a tremendous amount of problems that are not factorable. So do not hand in a homework assignment where every single answer is not factorable. Okay, these are just rare style problems. So this is factoring with a trinomial with a leading coefficient of 1. We're going to look at leading coefficient of 2 next. So make sure you do your homework to get comfortable with this concept because what we're covering next is going to build upon it. I'll see you tomorrow. Have a good day.